All right, so we've already gone over team building options when it comes to Aventurine Wave Flare, and now we're going to be focusing on Robin Summeretto, and quite frankly, I think this is a much more difficult option and more difficult character to build, more so for the fact of she is so versatile and all-encompassing that I definitely think it's more of a difficult option to try to really pinpoint a quote-unquote ideal team. And thanks to Razor language over here, we can see as of version 4 what she is capable of doing, and for the most part all of this is just the same, right? You have the possibility of 100% action forward one ally. You're also able to give 20% energy to that single ally who gets that 100% advanced action forward. You can get up to 40% defense ignore, 30% damage bonus for 2 turns, and up to 20% vulnerability. And you have the option, he says 3,000 to 4,000. It's much more likely you would be getting 2,500 to 3,000 attack or the 115 crit damage. Obviously, if your Robin is focused mainly on attack, then you'd be getting this right here. If not, then you'd be getting the crit damage. But overall, what would team options be for Robin? Well, the first thing that comes to mind, obviously because she is a remembrance character, would be a remembrance-esque team. Now, when it comes to this option, a lot of people are debating who's going to get replaced. And I plan on running multiple different variations of this team to try to figure out who really benefits the most. Is that going to be Castrus? Is that going to be Evernight? Or is it going to be both? I've molded the idea in my head of taking out Cyrene and just having like this team right here. You get the healing right here. You get the absurd buffs from Robin Summeretto. And how is that going to compare to someone like Cyrene? But this is a remembrance option, right? You can also very well just do this, or you know, if you want to go the other route, just go ahead and do that. It just honestly depends on what you plan on doing. Characters available on your own individual account. What are some other characters that are going to be benefiting a lot from Robin? Well, other options would be hyper carry DPS options because of what Robin is capable of providing for said character. And like, I can quite literally grab a lot of these characters and they benefit tremendously from Robin because of everything she's capable of doing, boosting the crit damage, boosting attack if you so choose to go down that route, vulnerability for the enemy, defense ignore. She's absolutely crazy. One team option that I'm like really kind of excited to run is some older characters to see how she is able to bring them back to relevancy. That being Jing Liu, that being the classic blade, and that even being the Dong Hung PT or even an Aventurine. I want to see just how much of a baseline increase Robin is going to be able to provide some of these older characters. Obviously, we have characters that have the Nova Flare buff, characters who do not. So it's going to be interesting to see how exactly that is going to work. But the biggest thing when it comes to Robin is her versatility to all DPS options is so vast, and the only other characters who can really compete, I would say, is Triby and a Mortonix blade. I think in terms of overall benefit to an account and to team options, obviously if you have all 3 characters, then boom, that's really good. You can use them on, you know, 3 separate teams. But even if you have just one of these characters, that frees up a slot on multiple other teams. So let's go ahead and like build out a example team, and we will use Himiko Nova just because she's the most recent DPS character. And I would run, let me show you what I would typically run on a Himiko Nova team that I also just love using, and that would be these 4 characters. So with Robin, I'd be getting all those buffs, and Himiko Nova would have more attacks, so I'd be getting more crit damage, which kind of offsets the protocol that I would be using with her with these 2 characters rather than Welt. So in this option, I would actually most likely take Sparkle out and put a Robin Summeretto in because of all the additional buffs that I would be giving to Himiko, also being the first character in the slot with Donghung PT providing the attack increase, the Lushaka set providing the attack increase. So regardless, she would be getting that 115 crit damage from Robin. Let's look at another character from this slot down here, and let's look at Finon. Obviously, you would take Sunday out, and ideally you would be having Saridra in this place. But instead of either a Sunday or a Sparkle, you would be having Robin Summeretto with the Songbirds, with the zone out. Finon's able to reduce the enemy's defense. So let's take a different character and look at what they would be doing. Let's look at someone like Acheron, because this is probably, quite frankly, one of the bigger buffs that is going to be coming out into the game. You'd be having these three right here as your core characters, and you could have other characters like Cypher. Let's just put Zhao Q here just for, you know, the fun of it. Defense or ignore, or defense reduction, crit damage bonus, all of that for Acheron to really just bring her back to life to where she once was. That's another option, you know, that we have discussed. Let's talk about somebody like Aglaia, and you can run Saridra, or actually, you know, better yet, it would be Sunday Robin with Aglaia, and then you can have somebody like Cyrene to help further boost Aglaia with her speed. So that's what I'm saying. And one thing that I think people should know is that Robin Summeretto is a branch character. What I mean by that is she branches out other possible options because she makes up for, like, let's say for example, you know, before she even comes out, you might have like this as an example of a team, right? If you want to go hyper carry or even a sustained character option, right? Robin allows you to branch out and have so much benefits and buffs from a singular character, arguably more so than Mortonic's Blade, to allow you to use other characters that you would ideally want to use but can't because of certain limitations of other characters, right? So like, let's take Cyrene out and let's put somebody like Huahua in here. Again, E1 Huahua providing the speed boost, which is obviously very, very good for someone like Aglaia. Sunday, very good because you could further advance action Aglaia. And even Robin Summeretto because she wants more speed in order to get more vibes going, to have quicker rotations, and because of the fact that Huahua is able to provide the energy for everybody else on this team who wants their ultimates active. So, like I said, Robin, in my opinion, between her and Aventurine is the, I would say, more valuable character because she allows you to branch and build better teams and allows you to free up options on other teams, which would work exceptionally well. But that's going to be all for me, guys. I'll see you within the next video.